Joey Logano sat 17th in points, below the cut line, more than a full year removed from his last win, and most of the garage had quietly filed him under finish for 2026. Then he led 323 laps at North Wilkesboro, the most he has ever led in a single race, and took the win from the driver leading the entire championship. The reaction was almost gentle, a feel-good day for a veteran. That is the version that lets every rival sleep at night, because the calendar just rolled into the exact stretch of an even year where this one team has closed out 3 titles. So is this really a one-off, or did the whole field just forget what an even year Logano does when nobody is looking? Here is why that question should scare people. An even year surge from Team Penske is not a vibe. It is the most reliable pattern in modern cup racing, and it has never once shown up in the regular season wearing a warning label. It shows up looking like exactly this: a quiet team, a written off driver, a sudden day of total control right as the schedule tips toward the playoffs. Everybody in that garage has watched this movie, and they know how it ends. Almost nobody wants to say out loud that it just started again, because if it has, the standings in front of you are a lie. North Wilkesboro had not hosted a points-paying cup race in 30 years. First one back, no points race data for anyone, no book on how a cup race here plays out with a playoff spot on the line, and Logano treated it like his home shop because it basically is one. He led nearly every lap to win the All-Star race here in 2024, and he just did it again, 323 laps out front. Not a fuel strategy steal, not a lucky late restart, total front-running control at a place he has owned every time NASCAR has brought it back. That is not how a fluke looks. The margin tells the same story. He beat Denny Hamlin, the points leader, by more than 0.8 of a second, and Hamlin does not hand races away. When the man leading the whole championship gets beaten straight up by nearly 0.9 of a second at the exact moment the even year clock strikes, that is not variance. That is a team that just unlocked something, and the timing of when they unlocked it is the entire story. Here is that timing. This was Logano's first win since May of last year at Texas. More than a full calendar year of a 3-time champion looking ordinary. He rolled into North Wilkesboro 17th in the standings, 8 points below the playoff line, in the kind of hole that ends veteran careers, not the kind that launches title runs. After the race, he did not oversell it. "It feels good to be back in victory lane," he said. It's been a tough year. A tough year. That is the champion telling you himself that the tank looked empty right up until the second it wasn't. Now lay it against the calendar, because this is where the joke stops being funny. Logano has won 3 cup championships, 2018, 2022, 2024, every one of them an even year. Since the elimination playoff began in 2014, he has made the championship 4 in every single even numbered season and missed it in every odd one. That is not a fan meme anymore. That is a decade of data with no exceptions. Even Logano has stopped fighting it. Asked about the pattern before his last title, he shrugged and said, "I don't know, usually I'm not a believer in that stuff, but this year, it sounds good, we'll go with it." When the driver at the center of the superstition starts leaning into it, everyone else should be nervous. And here is the part almost everyone skated right past on Sunday. That dominant win, that career day, it did not actually lock Logano into the playoffs. Not this year, because NASCAR tore up the rule book over the winter. Win and you are in is gone. For 2026, the field is set purely on regular season points. The top 16 at the cutoff, wins or no wins. So the most dominant performance of Logano's season moved him from 17th to 15th and left him barely above a line he could still slide back under with 5 races to go. Read that again. He can win like that and still miss the playoffs entirely. Which sounds like good news for everyone terrified of the pattern. It is not. Think about what the new math does to a team like this one. It hands an even year Penske group a reason to attack every single week instead of coasting into a locked spot. There is no safety net anymore. A cornered Logano forced to race the back half of the regular season like it is already the playoffs is the last thing anybody ahead of him in those standings wanted. The format built to make wins matter more just pointed the most dangerous even year driver in the sport straight at the throat of the field. And this is where it changes. For 2 years, the people who could not stand the even year pattern had one answer ready. It was the format. Logano did not win those titles. The elimination system did, and any hot team could steal a one-race finale and call it a championship. Logano hated that talk. "I don't like people talking that way," he said of the critics, "because if the rules were the old way, we would play it out differently, wouldn't we?" It was a fair point that never landed, because his doubters had the easier story. The format did it, not the driver. Then NASCAR did the one thing that could settle it. They killed the format. The elimination bracket is gone. The single race, winner-take-all finale that supposedly gifted him 2024 does not exist anymore. Every crutch the skeptics leaned on was stripped out before this season turned a wheel, and in the first even-numbered summer under the new rules, Logano just led more laps than he ever has in his life, and beat the points leader straight up. This was never about the format. It was about a team engineered to peak in the exact stretch of the calendar we just entered. Let's be honest about where this leaves the field. Every rival who looked at Logano 17th in points and quietly wrote off the 22 made a completely reasonable call, and it may turn out to be the worst read of their season, because this is the precise window, not the spring, not the stretch where the even year team looks beatable. The back half, the run up to the playoffs, the moment the switch flips and a 3-time champion stops looking ordinary and starts looking inevitable. We have watched it happen 3 times, and it has never once announced itself before it was already too late. So here is the verdict. North Wilkesboro was not a nice day for a veteran. It was a warning shot fired dead on schedule, inside a brand new format that was supposed to make this impossible, and instead only made it meaner. Logano still has to climb into that top 16, and he might sweat it down to the final week. But make no mistake about what is coming with him if he does. The most dangerous even-year driver in the sport just found his season, and the calendar is on his side. So the real question was never whether Logano could win at North Wilkesboro. It is whether the whole field just watched the even-year pattern fire on schedule and then talked itself out of believing its own eyes. Do you think the 22 is a real title threat again, or is the even-year magic finally out of road? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.